I will find you. You will ask, what will you do when they find me? Don't be scared of yourself. Don't be scared of me. Don't be scared of yourself.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ashley.
We would like to welcome you to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast,
where a couple of friends sit around and discuss healing, growth, and healthy relationships.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Dawn. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm great. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Did you have a good holiday?
I did. I had a really amazing Christmas. It was a lot of fun. How about you?
I did. You know that I drove to Texas. We left midday on Thursday before Christmas and got here Friday at like 4 a.m. Catched a little bit of sleep and was able to do shopping, and it ended up just working out just perfectly. And yeah, it's been a great few days, and Christmas was good. It was a normal Christmas, just in a different place. So
nice. So you and Colin drove to Texas.
We did.
Nice. Okay. So it was still you and the boys, but you were just not at home. You were at Dylan's.
Yeah. So kind of still at home. So yeah, it was
okay.
Not the normal. I packed up stockings. I packed up the boys' stockings. They've had their entire lives, and I have one for the dog. And I had a couple of stockings, and so I actually packed those up, and now they're Dylan's kitty's stockings.
Okay, cute. So you brought all the stockings. You brought the dog with you.
I brought the dog with me. Yep. So we had 5 stockings. We hung them below his TV, so it was like on his entertainment center. And my mom sent a few.
2 cats, 1 dog, 2 boys, and you. 6
in a
stockings,
1-bedroom apartment, 700 square feet.
Nice.
Yep.
Beautiful. Merry Christmas. That was fun.
Yeah, it's been very nice. So the cats and the dog are getting along great.
Well, of course, he's not bad with anything.
No, he's really not. So yeah. So it's been a very, very, very nice Christmas so far.
Good. Nice. I woke up Christmas morning with my 2 youngest children. I was really surprised. I rolled out of bed somewhere around 8:30 and went straight to the shower like I typically would on any other day, before I realized what I was even doing. And by the time I got into the living room, 1 child was still in bed sleeping. He's almost 18, so I don't know if that counts. But the other one, my 11-year-old, was sitting on the couch with her blanket on her, just staring at me and the Christmas tree and back at me and back up. I'm like, you didn't tell me you were awake. I just figured you were sleeping. Sorry. And she was just there so patiently, just wait. She was like, are you ready now? Yeah, go wake your brother up. So we did that Christmas morning. I did that with the oldest 2. Destiny, I did that with the youngest 2. Destiny, my oldest daughter, had to go to work at 8 a.m. So I think she stayed with a friend, and then she went to work. And then she got most of her gifts either 2 days on, not Christmas Eve, but the Friday before. We took her out to dinner and took her out to the store to buy some shoes that she really needed. And she got a few of those, and then she got one little thing from me that she came over Christmas dinner and she picked up and got that. And my dad actually came down from Maine, and him and his girlfriend Linda and their granddaughter, my niece Rory Jane, all came from Maine and are here visiting. They're not at my house right now. They got a hotel. But they got here, around noonish, I guess I would say, Christmas Day, and hung out all day. We had lasagna for dinner. Nick made everyone a really nice lasagna. It was really yummy. And we just hung out. We watched Matilda, the new Matilda. It was streaming on Netflix all day for free. So we watched the new Matilda on Netflix, and then we watched Home Alone, just traditional movies there, right? And we just kind of hung out, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what we did too. Once we opened presents, and we just kind of spent the day watching some movies and stuff, which was nice.
Yeah, I noticed that, I guess I would call her my stepmother. For some reason it feels like it has an evil connotation to it. She is not, I adore Linda. That's why I said my dad's wife, and even that felt funny because that, I don't know, it gave some sort of ownership to my dad in this instance, and that's not my normal, but Linda is just, If you knew Linda, she is just Linda. She's not my dad's anything. She is her own person. She is Linda. She will always, if anything, he is her husband. Wow. I don't know, right? I don't know that I've ever thought it like that in those terms, but when it comes to Linda, she is Linda. I love Linda. I absolutely adore Linda. Her and my father have been together for, oh my goodness, I think it's going to be 18 years in February. So I noticed, though, that I was very worried about my niece, their granddaughter, not being bad. So RJ would get up and play with the dog, and my dog is 75 pounds, and she's a pit bull boxer, and she's 2.5 years old, and her tail wags, and it thumps everybody within 5 feet, right? I mean, like, so I'm like, Venus, lay down. And I'm telling the dog to lay down, and the dog's laying down, and RJ's just petting the dog, and it's no big deal, and they don't have any animals, and she loves dogs, and I love dogs, and so she's just petting the dogs, and it's no big deal. And then Linda was like, so then the dog would get up, and the dog would start to, and I would tell the dog to lay down. And then Linda thought RJ petting the dog is what was making the dog get up. So she was telling RJ to stop. RJ, just sit down and be still. Leave the dog alone. Just sit down and watch the movie and be like. At first, I caught myself. At first, I kept saying, she's okay. She's okay. She's okay. She's okay. But RJ lives with Dad and Linda. Dad and Linda are raising RJ. They love her. They adore her. It is their rules. That is their child, right? Mm-hmm. So I caught myself saying, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, when really what I needed to do is just back off, right? That's their business. I told her once or twice that it was okay. She understood that I did not mind what that child was doing. I actually thought it was the cutest thing ever. And if she felt the need to still stop her, that was her business. And maybe had I just kept my mouth shut, RJ would have stopped 30 minutes sooner and the whole thing would have calmed down 30 minutes sooner, right?
Wow, I've never thought of that. Because I do the exact same thing. You know, we'll be a small child or a kid over and they're doing something and the mom's like, you know, stop. And I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, it's okay.
Right, and here I am thinking, no, you don't have to stop her. I don't mind. You're only stopping her because of me. But who the hell am I to think that I had any say over why you're stopping this child? And I have not talked to Dad or Linda about the podcast yet. So a side note, hi, Dad. Hi, Linda. Hope you don't mind. They won't, I'm sure. But I will talk to them tomorrow. But anyways, I just had to throw that in there. But it's not personal, right? I'm just using this as an example because it creates such a great example for how many times I think somebody else is worried about me when in reality, they're just worried about what they want and what they are doing, which has absolutely nothing to do with me. And if I would just mind my own darn business, it all would have been way better off to start out with.
That is just such I'm going through like this overload of like flashbacks of doing this and in a way of trying to look like this person or trying to control or manipulate or whatever word you want to use when you're right. This person, I'm not that parent. I am not the parent. I am not the guardian. I'm not that child's adult.
Right. And maybe RJ has and I'm probably wrong, I don't know, but maybe RJ has an allergy to dogs and she don't want RJ all over the dog because RJ was going to not be able to sleep well that night because her eyes would swell.
Good point. Because why we don't know the full story to be able to make a determination, and we have to, that's part of trusting that the parent and looking at it from our perspective as parents. I mean, how many times have I told my child to, you know, sit still, and then I get my mom or somebody would come in and override my intent that I want my child to sit still. I'm trying to instill manners, or I'm trying to instill behaviors or parent in the best way I can, and being undermined. My mom was notorious for that.
Well, so let's talk about that other side for a minute too, right? And I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
You're fine. Please, go ahead.
I get as a parent, that side of it, or as a guardian, or as a homeowner, or whatever, right? It's my business, my thing, my choice, my decision. But what about the other side of that, as the person that's saying, hey, it's okay, or hey, it's no big deal, or hey, you don't have to be so angry, or hey, calm down, or right, whatever it may be. And I want to, this is not personal to anyone. This is not in reference to anything, but just the other side of that is that person doesn't mean any personal harm, any ill intent. It's not a, I know better than you, allow them to be, or I know better than you, don't worry about it. It's more of a, hey, you don't have to stress yourself.
Yeah, that's a great insight, because I know for me with my mother that there is always the, very much of a trigger situation. So anything my mother does or has done, it's better than it used to be, is always a trigger. So you could tell me it's okay, he's fine, and it wouldn't bother me. My mother would do it, and it would just rub me such the wrong way. Like my whole body would react to it. I'd become so like, how dare you?
Oh, yeah, there's always those people.
And I'm sure Linda is not one of those people for you, so...
No, I adore Linda. I absolutely adore her. She would give the shirt off her back to anybody, even if she was freezing cold. I do adore Linda. She is an independently outspoken, very giving, caring, loving individual. And RJ is the sweetest little girl. She was so funny. We were having dinner, and actually Nick made the lasagna. He did a really great job.
Nice.
And he cooked for, I think there were 10 of us. There were 9 of us. There were 9 of us. I pulled out 10 of everything, but there were 9 of us. And he made the lasagna, and RJ twice during dinner interrupted. Miss Ashlea, can I give you a compliment? And I said, of course, sweetie, shoot. You can always give a compliment. And she says, this is the best. Oh no, this was the night before. So they had dinner the night before Christmas Eve, Friday before Christmas Eve, and Christmas dinner. So she did it both with the casserole, and she did it with the lasagna. She says, Miss Ashlea, I got to give you a compliment. I said, of course, you can always give me a compliment. She says, this is the best casserole I've ever had.
Aww.
And we all just started laughing. And Linda says, well, what about mine? And RJ looks at her and says, you don't make no casserole. She's 7.
I was going to say, how old is she?
Yeah, she's 7. She is the most amazing. And then she did it again with Nick's lasagna at Christmas dinner, about halfway through dinner. This is the best lasagna I've ever eaten. And I was like, you are so sweet. She was so sweet.
I miss having little kids around for Christmas. They change the whole... For me, they change the way I look at Christmas. And there's just nothing better than seeing things through their eyes.
I mean, I think this Christmas I got really lucky because Cameron is still young enough to really be into it. Like, she understands the imagination of the elves because I cannot stand the elf on the shelf. So she understands the imagination behind it. Like, she'll come home from school and be like, Mom, the elves haven't moved yet. And I'll be like, well, I was at work all day. Why don't you call Santa Claus? Right? And she knows. So she's very wise to it. And, like, I feel like if I put in all that work, I deserve some of that credit, not this imaginary person and thing, right? Like, that's a different topic. So I think I got really lucky with this year because I have Cameron, who's still young enough to really, really enjoy it. But at the same time, Destiny, who's my oldest, this was the first year that she wasn't at home to open presents Christmas morning. And there were multiple times throughout the day that after wrapping presents, and she only stayed, right, she had to go to another family gathering, and so she only stayed for a few hours. But there were multiple times after wrapping presents that I would look and see her presents still under the tree, and I would feel like something was missing. And it was. Des was missing, right? That's
Yeah.
a big part of my Christmas is my oldest daughter. But I was lucky because I had that bumper of my youngest daughter, who's only 11 and still very much into it, to really be that buffer for me. Kind of like you had, right? Like, instead of Dylan not being able to come home with him being all the way out in Texas this year, you were able to go to him. So
Right.
you had that, like, it wasn't the same, but it was still the same enough.
Yes. But still the same people, the people that I want to spend Christmas with.
I really thank Coda for that. I really thank the 12-step programs for that. I really, really thank my recovery for that because, 3 years ago, Christmas was ruined because I had to send Cameron to her father for half of the day. Like the entire day. And I had her that morning, but I was so sad that she was leaving that I was unable to enjoy that morning. So to be able to still enjoy Christmas with the 2 children that I had at home and the people that I had around me, even though that other piece was missing, not regardless of, no, even though that piece was missing, without a doubt, it was missing. And even though it was missing, I was still able to enjoy myself and have an amazing time. I have to give the awareness of 12-step recovery to this. And if my dad's listening to this, he's probably laughing because I did tell him a little bit about the podcast. I just didn't exactly go into detail about it. And there were a couple times throughout the day that he would look at me and say, funny you should say that. I used to say that too. Is that going to be on your podcast? And I was just like, it was just a little, very joking, right?
Yeah.
Not like, and they were things that were important. Like I was talking about dog training and like how getting angry doesn't work. And I was talking about how rather than getting angry, we need to just walk away and we just detach, right? If you're telling your dog over and over to sit and your dog won't sit, screaming and yelling and cursing and stomping is not going to make your dog sit. Walk
Right.
away and take a deep breath and come back with a little honey.
Yeah.
Come back and be nice and tell your dog to sit. Don't ask, tell, but tell nicely with love and reward. And if you work for me, I'll work for you. If you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Not with demand and anger. And it just doesn't. And that was like, he said, that's going to be your first episode of the podcast. I was like, no, we've already done that. Sorry. But it'll be on there. I promise. So there you go, Dad. It's on there.
I want to circle back actually to something you said. The whole thing of, with your daughter, with Des not being there, and being angry and being depressed and being sad and then Cam having to go to her dad's that year especially and worrying and losing kind of the time you had with her because you were so focused on what was going to happen in 3, 4, 5 hours. So I want to talk about living in the moment, being in the moment, because that's what I heard you not saying, right? What you were saying was, I was so worried about what was going to happen. I was so worried about how I was going to feel. I was so worried that you lost what was happening in that moment.
Right. That's what I did years ago. Absolutely. I was not able to live in the moment. I was worried about the future. Yeah. What wasn't even happening yet. And truth be told, that day ended up great. She had a wonderful time and she came home the next day and everything was perfectly fine.
Right.
Truth be told, right? I worried myself sick over absolutely nothing except my own feelings because I couldn't get out of my own way. And then, right, and recovery is not, it doesn't happen overnight. I didn't wake up Christmas morning like, oh, yay, we're opening presents, let's do this. I woke up and my very first thought was, oh man, Bess isn't here. But then I looked at Cam's smile and I was like, oh, hey, all right. It's okay that Destiny's not here. I can still be happy.
Right.
It's okay. And then there were multiple times, like I said, I would look over at the tree and I would see Destiny's presents still under the tree and I would start to get sad. And then I would go, wait a minute. My dad's visiting from Maine and I'm in North Carolina. Why am I sad? Destiny will be here later. Life happens. Kids grow up. This is normal. And it's so crazy because on Mondays, I talk to my sponsees. Just real quick, sponsee program is something that we do in the 12-step program where people in recovery with experience mentor, guide, and lead others who are less experienced to their level of experience through the program. Anyways, I talk to these folks, and Mondays during the day, I talk to one of them. And one of the things we had talked about today was how her parents and in-laws expect her to pack up her family and go visit them for holidays. So it's, again, I say it's so crazy to flip to the other spectrum and look at this from the other side. Like, I got to wake up Christmas morning. I got to pack up all my belongings. I got to go to work all day. This is my 20-year-old daughter wakes up Christmas morning, packs up all of her belongings, goes to work, packs up all the gifts, everything in the car, goes to work all day long. She worked from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m., got here at 3:30, 4 o'clock she got here, hung out for 2.5 hours, and then went to the boyfriend's family for Christmas dinner. Who the hell wants to do that on Christmas? Nobody wants to. I remember being little on Christmas and all I wanted to do is go home and play with my new stuff. Heck, as an adult on Christmas, all I want to do is go home and play with my new stuff.
That growing up, that was one of the biggest struggles I had. And it affected me more than, I know how much it affected me now, but obviously, when I, younger, I knew it did bother me. And I actually, when I was pregnant with Dylan, I actually told my parents that I would not be leaving my house on Christmas Day because I was not going to take my child away from all their new stuff. And if they wanted to spend Christmas with us, they had to come to my house. And I was like, I'm not saying I want you to spend Christmas. I want you to come for Christmas. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is my child is going to get to stay at home and play and do what he wants to do. I'm not ripping him away from all of his new stuff that all he wants to do is play with. You just have to come to my house and we'll have Christmas here. And that's the way I've done Christmas for 27 years until this year, and I came to my son's house.
Yeah, I remember being itty bitty, and Mom and Dad were both always miserable. My mom and my stepdad were miserable Christmas Day because, one, they did the whole Santa Claus thing. So nothing was under the tree before we went to bed, and there were 3 of us.
Yeah.
I only know now how expensive this is because I have 3 children of my own and have tried to live up to this expectation.
Yep.
Let me tell you, it's impossible. They literally did the whole entire Santa Claus thing. So I went to bed and there was absolutely nothing under the tree. What I know now is they also didn't have anything wrapped. So me as a child going to bed at 8 or 9 p.m. Christmas Eve, my parents are then pulling all the gifts that they have spent all this money and time on and wrapping them, eating these cookies, doing all of this stuff. And I know my parents, and I've done this with Nick, and I've done this with Nick drunk, and I've done this with Nick sober, and this year I did it with my best friend at her house. I can picture how this went. I can imagine how this went. And then here these 3 kids, we were up with the freaking sun. I'm talking 4 or 5 a.m. I remember laying in bed, and the rule was you had to wake up you could not wake up before the sun. And I remember laying in bed Christmas morning waiting for the sun, because when you went downstairs, it was like fucking magic exploded everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm talking 3 brand new bicycles and a Nintendo system. And in the 90s, to buy a Nintendo system, we were 4.
Yeah.
Like clothes, brand new clothes. And like our grandparents' gifts would be sent to the house, and they would be put under the tree Christmas Eve night with our parents' gifts. And everything was from Santa. And I remember sitting for what felt like an hour, just opening gifts and just this God, until I was about 8 years old, I think I believed in Santa. And it was just this magical. And knowing now the effort that my parents put into this, I'm not quite sure how we got so off track on this. But anyways, knowing now the effort that my parents put into that, and then to wake up with the sun, that's how we got into that. To wake up with the sun Christmas morning so my kids could open gifts, hurry, shower, drag them away from their gifts to go to one grandparent's for breakfast.
Yep.
And then we get to hang out for an hour or two and talk. And then we got to run to another grandparent's for lunch. And then by the time we get home, right, one lived an hour away or 30 minutes away, and the other one lived 3.5 hours away. And by the time we get home, it's dinner time, and now it's time for showers, and now it's time for bed, and everybody's miserable, and everybody's cranky, and mom and dad are fighting, and Christmas is awful. I remember wanting nothing more than to just stay at home.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always done with my kids on Christmas morning, just like you said. I have always stayed at home. Every now and then we'll go like for dinner at Nick's dad's house. We did that a couple of years. We went to dinner at my dad's house a couple of years. But we've just stayed at home Christmas morning. We don't leave till afternoon. That's my rule. Sometimes for dinner we'll go somewhere, but other than that, we're home.
I grew up with a very magical Christmas as well. So your Linda is my Ross. Ross is one of the best human beings I know. He is my stepdad.
Your Ross is my dad.
And he's my dad. He very much my life. My mom and him met when I was 11. He changed my life. That is when I realized my childhood, my parents were fighting and my dad was beating my mom up, and Ross comes along, and Ross is just this great human, and just, he's my Rossie. I never called him dad. When I talk about him now, I say my dad, my mom and my dad. He's my dad. He's my dad. He's just an amazing human being, and he made life good, and he would go all out. Footprints in the snow, get outside with the bells, the jingle bells. So, my sisters would go to sleep, and I was a little bit older. So by the time I met him, I was 11. And I'm going to put a disclaimer in the description so parents do not listen to this with their children. I don't want, not trying to ruin Christmas for millions of kids. At that point, I knew the truth about, Santa, but my sisters didn't. And so there was so much he would let me help with, and he just created this magical environment for them. And I didn't get to fully, I experienced it, but I still knew, and I knew that's what I would set up for my boys. And I did. I would go all out.
But isn't that magic part of what Santa Claus is?
Christmas is magic. Right?
Yeah, right. Well, and I'm sorry, I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in Catholic religion, Christian religion. I am very spiritual, but I am not religious. I celebrate Christmas as an American tradition.
Same. Christmas is magic for me. That's how I look at it, and I want it to be. And I want it to be that mystical, magical. I created that for my kids. We have a Santa milk and Santa plate with cookies and milk plate that pulls out every Christmas, and everything.
Yep, we do too.
Yeah, everything is always decorated, and I was fortunate enough. My son's Colin is not. He's very different than Dylan. He bought into that magic. He's going to carry that magic on for his kids. I know that already. Whatever we would go see Santa, and, I would make it happen. Whatever they asked for, they would get, because that's what Santa does.
Yep, that's how my parents always did it.
Yeah, and it was a struggle. It is a lot. It's a lot financially. And for me, both my boys, Dylan's birthday's a month before Christmas, so it's always I hate this time of year financially, but I get a break for the rest of the year. Collins isn't till March. But, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way, because just to see their excitement and the joy in his eyes, and, you know, Colin's just so logical he's beyond that. He's just, you know, he logically got himself out of it just because, well, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up.
That's exactly how Cameron is. When she was about 8, she was like, Mom, we don't have a chimney. You lock the door every night. There's no way. I stayed up till 4 a.m. I heard you in the living room.
Right? But yeah. So
that's Cam.
And so it's like always been, even now, you know, even yesterday, Dylan's 28 years old, and he still gets up early, and he's still excited, and he's still like this little kid, because he just believes in the magic of it.
Yes, absolutely. And right, for me, that's what Christmas is about.
Same.
It's about the magic. And I thank my 12-step programs for being able to stay in the magic of it this year.
Yes.
Right? There was so many chances to gossip. There was so many chances to poke fun. There was so many chances to argue. There were chances to do... Oh, God, there were so many things, so many that I could have got upset about. And it just... It's not that it wasn't worth it, because that's to minimize feelings. It's that I just didn't need to get upset. I just didn't need to be bothered with it.
I didn't want to get upset. You know, it's like I've never wanted to get upset when I was getting upset in the past. But I didn't know how not to get upset. Now, it's like not even a consideration of getting upset. Because it's just like, oh well.
I'm so glad that you said that, Dawn, because that leads into something else I was thinking earlier that I really wanted to talk to you about tonight, and that's, how do we stop? Right? You said it wasn't that I wanted to get upset, it's that I didn't know how to get upset. And now it's not that I don't want to get upset, it's that it's not even a consideration. Yeah. How do we get from that to this?
A lot of work. A lot of not caring about what the outcome is, and knowing that that outcome is going to be whatever it's going to be, whether I get upset or I don't get upset. It's wanting to be
awareness.
Happy. It's wanting to enjoy the moments. I'm just, for me, it got to a point of just being tired of ruining my own day.
Yeah. I think awareness brings us to this point. I think it's like patterns. It's like habits. It's breaking those old patterns. How easy it is to fall into self-loathing and worry and fear and the what ifs, right? If my mother-in-law comes over for dinner, then she's going to say this, and I'm going to think this, and then I'm going to say this, and then we're all going to feel this way. Or to, I should have known better. That's so wrong. Why would I do such a thing? Right? It's so easy to fall into those things.
Yeah.
But to just bring awareness to the thought that I'm actually thinking, kind of like you said earlier, being in the present moment. I'm sitting here and I'm missing my daughter, and I'm looking at the presents, and to actually have the awareness to examine that thought. I'm looking at the presents, I'm missing my daughter. Well, what else is happening? Well, my dad is here, and my niece is here, and my other daughter and son are here, and we're all laughing, and there's an awesome movie on TV, and there's so many other good things that are happening that I can now consciously choose to refocus my awareness to a different thought than that old one. And by doing that, I'm reprogramming those neural pathways in my brain that break that habit and pattern.
It's funny because you know, if you would have spent the day focused on the fact that Destiny wasn't there and spent that time, hurt, angry, pouting, all of those things, how would have that been for Cam? And because there's something that has to sacrifice. Something sacrifices when we spend all of our energy focusing on something. Something else is being sacrificed. And what would have
Right,
happened?
well, we know... Sorry, yeah, no, well, I mean, we know children internalize things, right?
Exactly.
Children always find a way of making something their fault. Well, the fact that I'm sad because Destiny isn't here, it just means that she's not as important to me as Destiny is in her mind. Right? I can't imagine something like that for her to feel.
Right.
And
I'm not good enough. I'm not enough.
Right. Or here, let me try to cheer her up. Oh, that didn't do
because
it.
now
She's still sad.
Let me take care of my mom and let me make her feelings mine.
Right.
Let me help build her right? That's helping to build her codependency.
And the hard part is in that moment when, look, let me take you back just 4 years, Dawn, 3 years. Destiny was 16 years old, just turned 17 years old. And we're opening presents and we're making breakfast. And I'm sad because Cameron's leaving. And Cam's still there, but she's leaving in a few hours. So I'm sad. And so Destiny is making breakfast, and I'm sitting on the couch with my drink and the soda and watching TV. And, oh, yeah, them are nice presents. You almost ready to go to Daddy's? I know you got to go to Daddy's. And Destiny's like, hey, Mom, I'm making eggs. I'm just so wrapped up in my grief and my guilt that I can't even see her. Even Cameron, my grief about Cameron not being home with her mom all day on Christmas, and my guilt because I'm no longer with her dad, which we're now back together. So this is all from years ago, right? My guilt from that and my grief from that has me so wrapped up in myself that I cannot see my children right in front of me.
Yeah.
In that moment. That's what recovery has given me. That's how I got there from here. Awareness. Being able to look at myself in the moment and at what is actually taking place around me. Not what I feel, not what I think, because what I think could be perceived 1,000 different ways, and I can talk myself out of or into anything. But actually being perceived, like what is actually happening. Destiny is not here. I miss her. My dad is here. My niece is here. Linda is here. Nick is here. Cameron is here. Jebba is here. Everybody is having a great time. There's a good movie on. All of those are facts. Do I want to focus on this 1 or 2 sad ones? Or do I want to focus on these 15 or 20 happy ones?
And we do that so much, not just at Christmas time. We do that all through the entire year, of focusing so much on what the negative that's going to or could happen that we miss the moments. I'm sure you've heard, don't be the person that's taking the pictures. People will go on vacation and I'm going to take all these pictures. I'm going to bring all these pictures back. But they forget to live in the moment. They're behind the camera. They're seeing their vacation. They're seeing their family through the lens of a camera instead of just being present and taking those pictures with our brains and we have to just, it goes back just to have to be present in our lives. We cannot be that behind the camera type, that participation in our lives. We have to be present. We have to be at the forefront, and we have to be living it and looking at it and celebrating it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's
then,
so easy to fall into the patterns,
yes.
To fall into the worry and to not be aware, to just be clicking the remote on the TV, and my daughter comes in and speaks 3 sentences and I say something back to her, but then 10 minutes later I'm like, wait, what did I just say?
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I can't even remember.
Yep.
But I just had a 2-minute conversation with her, but I don't remember because I wasn't present. I was somewhere off in La La Land, wrapped up in some thoughts in my head about God knows what, and she thought I was focused on her.
Yeah.
Or maybe she knew I wasn't focused on her, and I just hope she thought I was focused on her.
And those are the little things that help build insecurities, help build those feelings of not being good enough, those feelings of needing to overcompensate that our children end up with. It's not intentional. It's not like we are intentionally saying, I'm going to show you how to be unhealthy. I'm not going to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Gossip or just participate.
Right. I'm not putting together this unhealthy person. I do it through my own unhealthy behaviors without being present and aware in my own life. I'm showing my kids and other people how to not be present in their own lives.
Right. And the only way to stop it is to become aware of it and stop yourself as soon as you become aware.
Exactly. Going back to the whole fingernail conversation last week, when telling your daughter, she's like, "But I don't remember. I don't think about it until it's that's
right.
It's perfect."
Like, and I find that I actually had to verbally out loud correct myself, and even sometimes my thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, "Oh, I'm not stupid. That was just a mistake. That wasn't," and people would look at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. I just thought that I was stupid. And I just had to, I'm doing this recovery thing. I just had to correct myself. No big deal. Just ignore me." And I would do that sometimes. And it took me doing that to stop me from thinking those thoughts. There was nobody else in the world could stop it. And I think that's what that rubber band, right? You've heard of people putting a rubber band on their wrist and snap. I think that's the point of that, is to bring an awareness to what I never understood. Why would I snap myself with a rubber? And I tried it a few times and it just never really worked. It just hurt, and I was just hurting myself all the damn time.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think the point of it is to bring an awareness to it.
You know, it's so funny. I do the exact same thing. I'll catch myself saying, "That was stupid, Dawn. Wait a minute, Dawn, that wasn't stupid. You're not stupid. You're a very intelligent woman. You know what you're doing." Literally, I have to talk myself through that moment of calling myself stupid. And when I check myself, I find that I can put myself back in line and I can continue down. It's kind of like it's like checking, like I said, just, yes, I made a mistake, and I do it at work. Like, I catch myself at work all the time. There's definitely some insecurities with my job, and I'll say that, like, "Oh, Dawn, that was a stupid mistake." No, Dawn, you're not stupid. You could further your understanding of this. You know what you know. You're very good at what you do. This isn't your area of expertise. That's okay that you aren't an expert in this aspect, because there are many other areas of the job that you are very, very good at. I don't compare myself. I try not to compare myself anymore, because just because somebody is good at something and I'm not doesn't mean they're good at the things I'm good at. So
and sometimes it's as simple as mistakes happen.
Exactly. And I have to talk myself through that sometimes. Literally, like you said, out loud. Most of the time out loud. I don't do a lot because for me, saying it in my head kind of quietly and thinking it, I'm very good at continuing down a path. So it's like saying it out loud is like the stop sign.
Yeah. It is. It's like true account. Like, wait a minute, what just came out of my mouth?
Yeah.
I'm doing what? I'm actually saying that I'm saying this? Why? And, right, something as simple, like I'd stub my toe and I'd be like, "Ow, stupid, Jesus, gosh darn it." And I'd be like, no, that just really, really hurt, and I'm not stupid, and it's nobody's fault. It's just dark, and ouch, next time I'll be a little more careful while I'm walking.
Right.
I mean, even something as simple as that, and what I noticed is it kind of bled out, right? So I'd catch myself and I'd correct myself out loud, and then my 11-year-old started doing it, and then my 17-year-old started doing it, and it just kind of bled into the people around me. It's kind of crazy how it worked.
It really is. And when you start seeing it, I mean, for me, is when I shared with you, I think the last time, that my son is, started to get went to a couple of CODA meetings and is working on that. And I find myself wanting to be better for him. I want to, it's this encouragement of being better, being like, I have an opportunity to give him something new. I have an opportunity to give my youngest son something new, a different way to look at the world, look at themselves, more importantly. And that's why every day I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to do it for myself. I'm trying to do it for them. Because just because I've been a certain way for 25 years of my oldest son's life and 13 of my youngest son's life, or whatever, whatever it's been, I don't know time-wise. That's not the end of the story. I can continue to be better for them and for me.
I think that's I think that's just the perfect stopping point.
Yeah, I agree.
This is why I do what I do, because I want to be better. And that's what this recovery and this healthy living and this, I'll say, emotional sobriety, that's a new term I'm just learning. And I think it fits in this moment. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that in 100 years, my grandkids aren't healing from the things I refuse to heal from.
Yeah.
And hopefully nobody else is are either.
And I'm just doing the best I can every day, every moment. And that's all I can ask for.
And it's good enough.
It's good enough. Well, Ashley, thank you for this conversation today. As always, I love it. And audience, just make sure, take the time to go check out the website, the workityouareworthit.com website for more information. And Ashley, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dawn. Have a wonderful week. I will talk to everyone next week, and Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful, happy, safe New Year's.
Thanks. Happy New Year, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workityouareworthit.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.
I will find you. You will ask, what will you do when they find me? I will find you. Give the answer to your question. What will I do when I find you? I don't have to